Okay, let's take a look at more composite functions. So, f of x is equal to x plus 1. G of x is equal to 2x. And let's propose that we are trying to find g of f of x. G of f of x equals question mark. Well, that means put f of x in for g's x. So if you're able to do that right away and don't need any instruction, feel free. Outside of that, we're going to start by writing the outer function. G of x is equal to 2x. So that was the given information, and that is the outside function. Start by writing the outside function. Now, we're going to write on the left-hand side what we're looking for. So, g of f of x. And you can see that that is exactly what the question was looking for. G of f of x is equal to what? So we have that. So what have we done on the left-hand side? Well, we've taken f of x and put it in for x. So if we put f of x in for x on the left-hand side, we must put f of x in for x on the right-hand side. And we know that f of x is x plus 1, so we can simply take f of x and replace it for f of x, which means that we have 2x plus 2. And we can call that g of f of x. And we have our answer. So now we could graph g of f of x. But we're going to be doing it a little bit the same as we did last time. We're going to do it by only the graphs and confirm that it's the same after. So we're going to choose an x value. I've done it a little bit differently in my notes. We're going to say what the inside function is. F of x, the inside. Meaning this, the inside, the outside, and the inside. So f of x, the inside, then we're going to write the composite function, what g of that would be. So I'm going to say g of f of x. Notice I didn't include the outside function, and notice it's done a little bit differently in the notes. Always good to have multiple ways. So if I choose an x value like -1, well, f of -1 is 0 from the graph. Now g of f of x, well, that means that we are looking for g of that, what we just figured out. Well, f of f of -1 is 0, f of x is 0, which means that we're looking for g of 0. So we're going to be substituting and finding out what g of 0 is. So g of 0, well, from the graph, g of 0, when x is 0, y is 0. So it's equal to 0. Now the x value that we initially chose was -1. The f, the inside we got was 0, and g, the outside of that 0, is also 0. We can put a point on the graph. -1, 0. Let's choose another x value. 0. Well, what's f of 0? Well, f of 0 from the graph is 1. Now we're going to do g of that value we just got, 1. And g of 1 from the graph, what is the y value of g of 1. G of 1 is 2. And the x value that we were talking about was initially 0. And we got a g of f of x of 2. And I can put that point on the graph, 0, 2. Now I could do a few more points, but I can already see that it is matching up with the equation that I just figured out. So I can continue that line and confirm that that equation, g of f of x, is equal to 2x plus 2, a y-intercept of 2, and a slope of 2 over 1. So again, we can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and we can also put functions into other functions and graph them as well. A little bit more complicated doing the table of values, and a little bit more complicated substituting one function into the other. So take a look at your notes. We've done the complete reversal. Feel free to try questions on your own. Make up questions. F of x equals x squared. G of x equals 2x. G of f of x equals question mark. Do it all both ways and make sure it's the same. If it's not the same, then you've done one of them incorrectly. So, I don't know why they put chapter 10 last. Function notation is going to be some of the most important stuff we go forward in all fields of math and science and business and everything, whereby so many things are functions of other things. My happiness is a function of how much I exercise. I exercise based on how little I work. Therefore, my happiness is not only based on how much exercise I do, but also how little I work. However, my function of happiness is actually a little bit higher based on working a little bit more. Okay,